workshop series on social skills. My name is Fiona Xu, and I'm the Senior Manager of Business Development. Today is our last session for this series, and we are so glad that you are here for tonight's session. Before we begin, I'd like to start with something that many parents have shared with us. They mentioned that even when their teens want to connect, conversations don't always come easily. Some may struggle to keep a conversation going, feel unsure about what to say next, or miss important social cues. Others may struggle on nonverbal ways to communicate, which can make social interactions even more challenging. And that's exactly why this session happens. So tonight we'll focus on how to help our teens maintain conversations, including strategies for both verbal and nonverbal teens. You'll learn how to better understand why conversations can be challenging and how to support your teens with practical tools you can practice at home. So for those who are new, I'd like to give you a brief introduction to our company, Cogleap. Cogleap is dedicated to helping children with ASD, ADHD, and other developmental challenges. And so our parent company, Cognitive Leap, which develops all our core technologies, was founded in Los Angeles in 2015. And our subsidiary, our operational subsidiary, launched 4 years ago, has already supported thousands of families in our centers, including Irvine, San Jose, and Diamond Bar. So we provide both clinical therapies and non-clinical services. Our clinical therapy includes ABA therapy, which is a one-on-one clinic-based support to improve behavior, learning, and independence. We also provide VCAT, HFS, and Move and Connect as our non-clinical services. So VCAT stands for Virtual Classroom Attention Tracker. It tracks and measures attention and impulse control. So if you're concerned about your child's attention, and you can take this assessment to compare your kids' attention level to their peers. For HFS brain training system, it's a one-on-one brain training for kids to improve their focus, emotional regulation, and self-control. We also offer Move and Connect as our social group activity to help the kids making meaningful social interactions. Now, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today's session, Dr. Albert Knapp. He is a senior psychological, he is a senior psychologist for our company and also the director of ABA program for Cogleap. He's also the author of Parenting a Child with Autism Spectrum Disorder. So Dr. Albert has extensive experience working with children and families, and he will be sharing practical step-by-step strategies to help you support your team to communicate well with their peers. Let's give Dr. Knapp a warm virtual welcome. Dr. Knapp, now the floor is yours.
Thank you, Fiona. I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a good day, and thank you for spending the later part of the day with us. As Fiona shared, we're going to jump into helping your team, whether they're verbal or nonverbal, maintain conversations. So we're going to talk about today why conversations are challenging. I will give you some strategies you can use for both verbal and nonverbal teens, and you'll leave with some tools that you can use in your everyday life. So what is conversation? So it's not just the words that you're saying. It's not just talking. It includes listening to the speaker, the body language that you're giving off, as well as the body language that the other person is giving off. And it always includes turn taking. Also, part of the conversation skills include having what's called shared attention and a connection with the other person. And so what are some of the common challenges that we get with our teens have? So one of the biggest challenges, and sorry it's a little cut off, but it's difficulty starting or retaining the topic. So topic switching or kind of not fleshing out the topic well enough is definitely something that happens very often for our teens with neurodivergence. Also, they can miss the social cues. So they can miss like little sarcasm that's happening in conversations. They can miss little cues that you're not interested in that conversation anymore, that topic, and then keep going and going and going. They can miss the transition point as well. Sometimes people with neurodivergence have what we consider like a one-sided conversation, meaning they just keep talking, talking, and talking, and talking, and you are no longer interested. You are no longer listening. You have checked out, and they just keep going and going and going. And then some other challenges that can occur is a teen with neurodivergence could have some anxiety and then shut down. So meaning like they just stop talking, they get quiet, they get more introverted into themselves, and they stop sharing or talking with other people. So there are some unique differences between a verbal and nonverbal teen that we're going to talk about. So for verbal, the main difficulty that they often struggle with is the reciprocity, which is the fancy way to say going back and forth, taking turns, understanding what the speaker is thinking and saying, and being able to match that and return. Kind of if you're playing like tennis, or I guess pickleball would be a more relevant term now, like hitting the ball back and forth. That sense of reciprocity is challenging for them. For nonverbal individuals, there are some other challenges. Many use an AAC device, which stands for an augmentative or alternative communication device. So that slows down conversation, and they need to have that device with them. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as later. Sometimes they have a hard time with gestures, either using gestures or understanding gestures, or they use a lot of gestures, but they're idiosyncratic to themselves or maybe their immediate families, which mean that while they can communicate with those that they interact with most often, they struggle to communicate with the community at large because other people won't understand the gestures that they're using to speak. And then nonverbal people, we people who have limited verbal speech, we also include as nonverbal. So they only have a few words that they can say. They're usually lumped into the nonverbal bunch. And both these types of groups do need a structured support to help them with their communication or help them maintaining conversations. So, what are some reasons why teens struggle? So, both verbal and nonverbal teens, what's going on? Why are they having the struggle story, as the little icon suggests? So, processing speed differences play a big struggle. Processing speed is your ability to process information efficiently and quickly. And teens with neurodivergence often have impaired processing speed, meaning it just takes them a little bit longer to hear what you said, think about how to respond, and then give a response. While most family members are kind about that and they will support their teen and give them the time that they need, not all teens will do the same thing. So the processing speed differences and the slower processing speed definitely affects their ability to keep up with neurotypical teens and have meaningful conversations. Another challenge that's very common in the neurodivergent population is executive functioning difficulties or challenges. So, executive functioning is the planning part of your brain. It organizes your thoughts, it tells you what to do, and it gives you like kind of purpose and meaning for how you're going to interact with the day or interact with the task. So, that is something that is often impaired in teens with neurodivergence. There also is high comorbidity, which means it can coexist with neurodivergence, is social anxiety. Because these teens have these difficulties processing information and they do it in a different way, sometimes they also have social anxiety. They're embarrassed or fearful about interacting with other teens because they're worried about how they'll be evaluated or if they'll be liked. So having social anxiety coupled with the processing speed and executive functioning challenges makes it more challenging for them to have meaningful conversations. And then, unfortunately, a lot of neurodivergent teens have past negative experiences socially. And sometimes we need to do a lot of therapy to repair that and to help them not feel embarrassed or guilty over what has happened, and give them skills so when they go back into the social world, they're able to be accepted by their peers because they're able to do the appropriate social skill. So, parents, what can you do? You can totally help them. Um, a really easy thing to do is to model conversations, but don't just think if your child's hearing you talk that that's modeling conversation. You have to kind of sit them down and let them know me and dad, or me and mom, or me and your aunt, me and your cousin, or me and your sibling. We're going to show you how to have a conversation about this particular topic and do a little back and forth. Doesn't need to be very long. It can just be about a minute, and show them how to go back and forth and let them know what you're doing. Let them know that you're pausing to give the other person a moment to talk. Let them know that you're acknowledging what the person said by saying, "Oh, I agree with that," or you're nodding your head. Point out the nonverbal behaviors in the other person and let them know how you're interpreting those nonverbal behaviors. Really give a robust model to what's happening so your teens can pick up on that and they can be more mindful of that. And practice regularly. You're not going to be able to do this once and your teen's going to learn. You're going to have to practice it multiple times. Um, More frequent short training sessions is much more valuable than one longer training session. Kids check out, they get overwhelmed, they're not interested in long training sessions. You can practice regularly, short little bursts, up to 5 minutes a day goes a really, really long way. And again, 5 minutes a day is 35 minutes a week. That's more valuable than a 30-minute or 60-minute training session one time a week. You also want to have practice in a safe place with low pressure opportunities. So maybe you practice with family members first, and then you expand to like maybe extended family members for a little bit of practice, or like a friendly neighbor, or a cousin or something like that. Someone that you know would be forgiving, is interested in helping your teen, and they're willing to do the work to slow down and be participatory. And then celebrate the effort. It's hard for your teens to learn how to have effective conversations. So you definitely want to celebrate all the small wins. Even if they go back and forth just once, that's a step in the right direction because they used to not go back and forth at all. So definitely feel free to celebrate the effort that they put in, because just doing the effort, even if it's just watching a conversation, is hard for them. And you want to give them praise for doing just that. So for our verbal teens, there's a specific skill that I want to teach you today.
You can learn.
So this one of the skills I wanted to talk about was turn taking. So turn taking is a really elementary skill that is required in conversation. And what's good about turn taking is you can practice that not even within a conversation. I put a picture of Jenga on here. I think Jenga is one of the easiest games to teach turn taking with. It's fun for all ages. It's very easy to play. If you don't own a Jenga already, they're very inexpensive. They're sold all over the place. It's fun and quick and gives multiple opportunities for turn taking. So using a game to go back and forth is really, really simple. You could also incorporate visuals for whose turn it is. So a visual cue would be like a little card, think like maybe the size of like a cell phone. And one side it can say your turn, and on one side it can say my turn. And you can flip it each time. And if there's multiple players, you could even show like, look, it's their turn, their turn, their turn, and then your turn. So you can flip that card over back and forth so they have a visual cue of whose turn it is. Waiting is hard for people with neurodivergence, and having that little visual cue can be really helpful. And then the other thing to keep in mind is to pause and wait. Sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, teens with neurodivergence need more processing speed. They're not going to respond like this all the time. So you really need to pause and give some extra processing time. I would say about 5 seconds, maybe even 7 seconds, if you know that that extra time is going to allow your teen to respond in an appropriate way. So the next skill I wanted to talk about is essentially conversation scripts and visuals. This is a really great tool to teach topic tracking. Topic tracking is essentially making sure that you stay on topic and you continue to talk about what you need to be talking about. This is often done in visuals, and I have a few examples of some visuals to the right, or a written prompt, which if your teen has good reading skills, you can just write out what they need to be able to do. The visual also provides a nice way to gently redirect them, being able to point or give them like a cue on what to look at and read and come to the answer. When there's a visual and you point to that and your child reads it and then does the skill, it's helping them learn. Instead of just being fed the information, they have to do a little bit more cognitive effort to read what's on the paper, then think about it, and then do the behavior. And that practice is helping them learn what to do in that situation. Fiona, I was hoping to show the website. Can you click the hyperlink and then maybe put that link? I put it in written out in the chat box for the families. So disclaimer, I do not make any money if you buy this. I just really like this tool. I've used it with a lot of teens before, as well as younger kids. And I thought it was a really cost-effective way to put something in your pocket, in your hands, that could really help your teens with conversations. So this company sells a lot of different things, but essentially these are basic conversation scripts and visuals. They give you a small little sample of some of the options right here. I just realized I'm moving my cursor, but my cursor's not on the screen. But those three little white things are an example of what can be purchased. And they have some other products as well, but I think this product is a great way to have something tangible because we're human, we forget to do things, and having this tangible sort of reminder can be really helpful. Also, it gives you, as a parent, a lot of different conversational topics to talk about. So you're not wondering every day, well, what's a new topic I can think about talking about? You can just pick up a card and use that topic that day. So Fiona, would you be able to drop that in the chat for the families? Thanks.
Let me see.
So if you, underneath the hyperlink, I put the thing if you want to copy and paste it off the slides. Or you can grab it there. Thank you. I found this doing that. Any questions so far? I meant to say if you have a question about any of the slides to interrupt me like while I'm talking, but while she's putting that in the chat, any questions so far?
Okay.
If not, we can maybe figure out how to send out this. Oh, there you go. You got it, Fiona. Thank you.
Okay.
Technology, right? We love it when it works. And
Yeah.
not so much when it doesn't, but thank you. All right, so we'll move on to the next skill. All right, so another skill to help your verbal teen is essentially teaching them how to ask the WH questions. So who, what, when, where, and how, even though WH and how is in the wrong spot. These questions help them get more information about what the person's talking about, and it expresses interest in the topic. So those are two things that people with neurodivergence struggle with. They struggle with being interested sometimes in something they're not interested in. And two, they don't really know what to say, but just saying, oh, what about that? Or when will that happen? Or who would do this? Something really simple as those three questions gives the neurodivergent person a chance to respond and be reciprocal, gives the other person information that they're interested, and it gives the neurodivergent person more information to then hopefully make a connection or become more interested in the conversation. So it's a really easy skill to teach neurodivergent teens, and it's also very age appropriate to teach them how to ask questions. You could use the scripts, so you can write out on a little piece of paper like why, what, where, when, who, how question. And maybe when you say a statement, you can ask them to pick one of the WH questions to ask. and they can get more comfortable doing that. You're also teaching them to practice being curious. So, like, you're teaching them it's okay to ask for more information. It's okay to try to learn more about the topic that someone's talking about. Helping them learn how to be curious will help them be more interested in conversations and hopefully get them more interested in a variety of topics as well. So the next thing is looking about how to read signals or read essentially body language. I'm a big Little Mermaid fan. I love the scene from Ursula when she talks about don't underestimate the importance of body language because Ariel goes, well, don't take my voice. What about my voice? What will I do? And then Ursula says, don't underestimate the importance of body language. And it is really important. Being able to recognize what another person is really saying by reading their body is a very effective way for them to learn communication skills and to maintain a conversation. This can be very easily taught through videos or role play. Um, so what's great about, excuse me, about a video is you can pause it and rewind it and really have them zone in. Maybe the moment someone's face changes from interest to disinterested, or the moment they go from, oh, now they're being sarcastic. What do you see that is different? And you can literally go frame by frame on a computer and really make them see the change. Something you can't really do in real life. In a role play, you can also role play out what to do, and you can be very exaggerated initially and then kind of fade back the quote acting in order to make it a little bit more natural. So role playing and just video modeling essentially is really valuable. There are thousands of videos online about body language and reading social cues. I definitely encourage you to do some investigating. I'm going to show you a really great resource in a second, but definitely watch the videos before you have your team watch the videos. Make sure it makes sense and make sure it's also something comfortable that you would like your team to see. And then once you practice in a video setting or role play setting and your team's starting to pick it up, go do some people watching and have them look at body language in real life and see if you can figure out like what they're trying to talk about or what they're sharing. You may not really know for true, but ideally, if you understand body language, you can say if they're right or wrong. So going in and like watching body language is a really good way to do it. Something else I actually do in therapy sometimes is I will watch sitcoms without the volume to help kids with neurodivergence pick up on some of the body language, and we would have to essentially narrate the scene and then we would watch the scene with the volume to see if we were right. The great thing about sitcoms, well, actors in general, and then sitcoms, is they often have an exaggerated sort of style because they're going for a laugh or they're going for dramatics. So being able to use what's already out there is a really great way. If you are going to use real television shows, I would recommend using television shows that the teen is familiar with because by them understanding some of the characters, it will help them understand their intentions and their body language. If they don't understand the characters, it may be a little bit more challenging. But definitely a really fun activity to do. And the kids get really stoked and jazzed when they get it right. So that's something really easy to do that everyone has access to. Everyone has access to a streaming network and television shows. I think even normal cable now, you can pause it and rewind and redo it. I do want to show you another resource. So Peers is the program for education and enrichment of relational skills. It was born out of UCLA, but it's been translated into many different languages and done in many different countries. And it's one of the best evidence-based programs to teach conversational skills. And the Peers people, they have published all of their role play videos, and the role play videos are for free, and they're also available in many different languages. So Fiona, if you can click that link, please. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see on the left, there's role play videos in many different languages: Cantonese, Japanese, Spanish, Mandarin, Siberian. Those are all the roleplay videos. The ones that load initially are the English videos. And there is a whole bunch of them. If you go up a little bit, Fiona, there's a drop-down menu right above the word conversational skills. Can you just click that for a second? So hopefully you guys can all see it. I'll read them, but these are all the different role play videos that exist on the Peers website. Yes, Monica, we will definitely put the link in the chat. So conversation skills, starting individual conversations, entering group conversations, exiting conversations, electronic communication, appropriate use of humor, good sportsmanship, get-togethers, handling arguments, handling teasing, handling rumors and gossip, and then there's dating etiquette videos. These are all really, really great videos that you can use to help your teens. If you could go off of the list, Fiona, go back to just the role plays. So if someone would like to chime in about what conversational skill video we should watch, we can watch one of these videos. They're all short. They're all about maybe a minute at most, maybe 2 minutes if it's a longer one. And what's great about it is it shows us what not to do and what to do. So we can take a moment to watch one of the videos. So someone can unmute themselves so they can pick the video. I've seen them all, but someone who wants to chime in and pick the video that we're going to watch, go ahead.
How about policing?
Wonderful. Thank you, Velvet. Or at least that's what your Zoom thing says. Thank you so much. So go ahead, Fiona. Why don't you hit policing and it should load and we'll give it a little watch. So Alina's the blonde hair girl.
Hey Allison, how are you doing? I'm doing
On the
good.
right.
How are you? Oh, it's actually I'm doing well because good is an adjective and well is an adverb, and in this case, you're supposed to use the adverb. So it's I'm doing well. Oh, okay.
I'm doing well.
Yeah, well, it's just for you. So how was your weekend?
Fine.
What'd you do?
Just hung out with friends.
And then there's these perspective taking questions at the end of each of the videos. So you can ask your teen, what was that like for the other person? So that would be the non-Alina, the girl on the left with the brown hair. What was it like? What did Alina do well? What could she do better? And then, and what's great is it's 37 seconds. Like you can watch it 4 or 5 times, and it's not even been 3 minutes yet. Well, maybe 3 minutes, but it hasn't been 5 minutes yet. So essentially, and the other girl really was appropriately dramatic. You know, she like rolled her eye, she moved her head around, she changed the tone of her voice, right? She had all these so I can't say the word today, very small, very small social behaviors that kids in neurodivergence don't always pick up on. So this is just one of probably about 100 videos that exist in the Peers curriculum. So Fiona, if you go back on the browser and copy that, yep, that would be the link to all of the videos. And then it'll take you right to this page, parents. And then if you want them in a different language, you can also, go there and get them in a different language as well. I also get no money by sharing the Peers videos. I have a Peers certified provider though, so I have done a lot of Peers groups and I can vouch the videos are a very helpful teaching tool. All right, we can go to the next slide. All righty. So nonverbal teens. So I want to give you a disclaimer. So I am not a speech and language pathologist. I'm going to talk about, I put ACC, but I meant ACC. I talked about AAC devices in the next slide. And you do not want to pick an AAC device without consultation and supervision under a speech and language pathologist. They are the experts that determine when is it appropriate to use an AAC device and when, like what type of device would be helpful for your team. So what I'm providing is purely informational. If you think that an AAC device would be helpful for your team and you don't have a speech and language pathologist, definitely ask any service provider that works with your child. We all know different speech and language pathologists. We can refer you to one. You can also call your insurance provider. there are speech and language pathologists that take insurance. And if your kid is in a district placement, so a public school, there's speech and language pathologists in the school district that you can ask to speak to about that as well. So using a AAC device, so I did the wrong acronym, it should say AAC, not ACC, but it's augmented and alternative communication. They only work when they're used consistently. And that is, well, both the blessing and the curse. I had a speech pathologist early in my career say that having an AAC device is the person's tongue. Think about that for a moment. You can't talk if you don't have a tongue. So that stayed with me all throughout my career. I got that like 18 years ago. I was like blown away when she said that. And I can remember vividly in my head, like when she said it to me, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. But an AAC device looks like a lot of really different things. So I put 3 common sort of types of AAC devices on the screen. The left one, the red one, that is a very simple push button device. Each of those icons would mean something. And for example, like if you click the green check mark, it may say okay or yes. There's hands. On the left-hand side, the second one down from the top, are hands going like this. That's a sign for more. So if that button was pushed, the word more would be spoken out of the device. So this would be something that you would load in with, it looks like there's 12 different buttons. And if the individual pushed that button, it would say probably that one word, or potentially if there's enough space in the memory, like a short little sentence, and the picture would represent what was being said. The middle thing, which is essentially a piece of paper, you can imagine a piece of paper 8 by 12 cut up into equal squares. This is called PECS, Picture Exchange Communication Systems. The PECS system is something that's been around for a really long time. They kind of are like one of the original AAC devices. Essentially, it is a platform that has I would say a bazillion, because there's a lot of different icons paired with words, and a lot of individuals learn how to communicate using PECS. Young learners would start with just like one little card and then exchange it. So there's that reciprocity. They literally will hand you the card. And it goes all the way up to people doing what's called like a sentence strip. It would be like a plastic strip, and on the strip, they would put multiple little icons and then hand that strip to people. And there's often like a binder where they would have all of these icons, these pieces of paper. They would all be cut out and laminated. They would have access to all of the icons. And kind of like, if you could imagine thinking about what words to say, they would flip through their textbook, find the icons that they want, put them on a strip, and hand them to you. So that's PECS. The one on the right is a more modern AAC. I don't know the name of that platform, but essentially it uses an iPad or other tablet, and it's kind of similar to the first one where they can push buttons and it would talk. Or most AAC devices on a tablet also have a typing feature where the individual can just type, just like we type on a computer or we text, they'll type and they'll be able to communicate using sentences. I do know that a lot of AAC devices also work on smartphones, not just on tablets, but you're kind of thinking about the real estate, right? If you had a tablet, you just have more space on the tablet to push the buttons. It's maybe easier to type on, whereas a phone, you have less real estate to be able to do that. But most AAC devices, if they're tablet compatible, are smartphone compatible. I wanted to take a moment to show you about PECS. So Fiona, if you could click that blue link, there's a short video talking about what PECS is. So this is the publisher of PECS. So I don't work for Dynabox. I get no money if you do PECS. But there's a short little video. If you scroll down about midway, it's a woman, Fiona, and she's, yep, this one. And she's just going to give you a little overview of what PECS are. And of course, we'll drop this link in the chat as well. BoardMaker 7 is the name of the platform that makes the icons. It's the name of the program where all the icons live.
Hi there. Do you work with simple supported resources? in special education or AAC, then you have to try Boardmaker 7. In the next 3 minutes, we're going to show you everything you need to know about this amazing tool. Boardmaker has been around for over 30 years and is used all over the world in more than 40 languages. Plus, Boardmaker 7 has over 45,000 symbols, the largest library available. All I have to do is open the Boardmaker 7 app and land on the dashboard. Click on New to create something from scratch or use one of the many templates. I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to create a resource by customizing a template. I'll choose a template from the matching category. Now that it's open, I'll start by clicking the title and typing feelings. Next, I click on this button, type the word happy, and press enter on the keyboard. This opens the symbol library, where I can choose from all the symbols available to support this concept. I select the one I want, and it's applied to my board. Oh, wow, that was fast. You also have the option to upload pictures or choose one from a web search. Or try browsing the symbol library by clicking the Symbols tab button and browse through a category. You might just see something that sparks an idea. Once you fill up your board, you can print, laminate, and you're ready to go. Now I can match my symbol to the word. Do you have a student who can't access paper? Don't worry, we have that covered too. With Boardmaker 7, you can make any resource interactive using it with touch, mouse, switch or eye gaze on a computer, tablet, interactive whiteboard, or Tobii Dynavox device. And there you have it, the all-new Boardmaker 7, available in Windows, Mac, and Chromebook. And remember, where there's a symbol, there's a way. Looks like I need another cuppa.
Thank you, Fiona. That's again a tried and true program. People have been using board makers for years, and it is like any of these pictures you see in the middle that you've probably seen on the internet, maybe in your child's classroom, are all made from Boardmaker. Again, I don't get paid if you buy Boardmaker. I just know that it's a platform that's used often to make these icons and it's very handy to help with communication. And if you can put the Boardmaker link in the chat to Fiona, that'd be great. So for AAC devices, the main difference is really like the technology. The technology is either like low tech, like Boardmaker. It can be easily as paper laminate and like exchanging to very high tech using devices. So again, you want to be able to talk to a speech and language pathologist to find out, well, what AAC device would be the best for your student. Things to keep in mind are the response time. So how long would it take them to use the particular device to respond? Sometimes you want to offer them choices, like maybe they gravitate toward one device over the other, even if it's so a speech pathologist say, well, these two devices could be helpful. Why don't you see which one your student likes the best? And they all work in essentially to expand on their communication. A speech pathologist can talk about this more comprehensively, but just keep in mind it's an augmented or alternative, meaning if it's augmentive, they may still develop verbal language later on with the help of the device. Now, if it becomes alternative, they may not develop verbal language. But those are all conversations to have with a speech and language pathologist, and just one way to keep in mind that there are ways to help nonverbal teens have more conversation and communication skills. So now we're going to talk about what can we do for both verbal and nonverbal teens. So visual supports are really, really, really helpful when you're teaching conversation skills. So on the right, I put a really simple video that I found off the internet. I did not create it. I'm not that crafty. But essentially, it gives the person a step of what to do, 5 steps of the conversation. It tells them exactly what to do in that moment in time. That's often called the conversation map. There's also cue cards. You can have a cue card that says each of these different elements of a conversation. And if the person gets stuck, you can slide the cue card over to them. So they'll be reminded what to do. And then there's topic boards. Essentially, a topic board is where you go over and you have the board and you pick a topic that you're talking about,
sick people go.
and then you practice being able to talk about that topic. So there are some kind of games you can play at home to make it a little bit more fun. All the games are pretty quick and easy to do. One of my favorites is like a dinner roundtable, or a breakfast roundtable. It doesn't need to be dinner. Whatever meal that you have together with your family, and round robin, meaning everyone takes a minute, starts a conversation, and you have to go around the whole table and add to the conversation. So that's something that's really simple to practice and be able to do at the dinner table or breakfast table. Another great intervention to try is car ride chats. So sometimes it can be really helpful to decide to have a conversation during a car ride. We often listen to music in the car, but why not take that as a learning opportunity? You can make it a game and try to see if they can find a particular type of car. And then once they find that car, whether it's a certain color or model, you can have a quick conversation about that car. Like, how many doors did it have? How many people were in the car? Where do you think the car was going? All those things are really great ways to try to have a little mini conversation. And then there's a lot of like game-based interactions that help a conversation. You can do would you rather. So really simple, would you rather go skiing or snowboarding? And why? And that could be a whole-on conversation about what you would do. There's something else called high-low buffalo, where you ask the individual to share their high from a particular period of time, let's say the day, their low from the day, and then a buffalo is any random thing they want to share about the day. And then you would model conversation skills by asking WH questions about their high, low, buffalo, and they would have to respond about their high, low, and buffalo. So it is only one or two interchanges, but it gets them talking and gets them comfortable with sharing. Very similar to the high-low buffalo is rose and a thorn. What was the rose of your day or the rose of your week? What was the thorn of your day, thorn of the week? Essentially, what did you like the best from a specific period of time? And then what did you like the least? That would be a way to do it. And then on the right, it's a little blurry, so I apologize, but there is also a game called Conversation Bingo. And essentially, you would have a conversation and they would mark off the different sentences that they used, and they try to get 5 in a row. For a life of me, I don't know why they put that free space in the bottom right-hand corner and not in the middle, but that's what the visual did. But essentially, it gives them an opportunity to practice conversation skills. And I don't know if you guys have ever played bingo before, but you can say we have to get 5 in a row, which is a typical bingo. You can say you have to get the 4 corners. You can say you have to try to figure out like to get an X or a T or a number 7. You can do all kinds of different designs on the bingo board to play, so they get practice using a variety of questions. Now, there are going to be some awkward moments that happen when you're teaching conversation skills. So you definitely want to normalize any mistakes that happen. You want them to not feel guilty about it, not feel embarrassed. Let them know that it happened, no big deal, and move on. You want to gently coach them into what to do better next time, but avoid what's called overcorrecting. If they made many different social errors in a conversation, don't point them all out. Maybe just pick out the worst error that they made, focus on that, and then once they get better with correcting that error, move on to other errors. If all you do is tell your kid all the things they did wrong in a conversation, they're not going to want to continue having a conversation. So you definitely want to be mindful not to overcorrect. Just pick one error, fix that error, and move on. So this is going to build their confidence. This is going to focus on their strengths. This is going to help them learn what they are able to do. You want to praise their effort. You want them to be successful. So you want them to keep trying. and any successful opportunity you want to capitalize on. And if you know they're really interested in a topic, don't stray away from that topic. Let's stay in that topic, but like get them to include you more in that topic. Get them to ask you if you get it or ask you questions about it. If they're really good at talking about Legos, then let them talk about Legos and have them teach you something about Legos and show them the reciprocity. Or play a game and say, okay, we're going to talk about Legos and I'm going to be bored at some point. Your goal is to look at me and figure out when I'm bored, because that means you were talking about Legos for too long. So that way they get that practice. They get to something they like, which is talking about Legos, and they're learning something because you're asking them explicitly to pay attention to you and to give you feedback when when your body language is changing. You also want to take conversation skills to some peer interactions. And some of the best way to do it is a structured hangout, which is a way to say a very short activity-based hangout. For example, maybe you're going to go get ice cream with a peer, and that's it. You're gonna meet up at the ice cream store, you're gonna order and eat the ice cream, and you're going to leave. You're not gonna have a big prolonged interaction. Giving them something very specific to do, so that way it's very clear what to talk about. You can also give them some conversation prompts before they go, so they know what to talk about. And if you have a peer that is willing to be helpful, you can give the peer a heads up of what conversation topics would be helpful for them to talk about with your team, so that way your team can be successful. This also works really well over a shared activity. So doing something that they are interested in and finding a shared activity to practice conversation skills will go a really long way. And definitely doing this in a small group, like maybe 2 to 3 people most at first, will be much more successful than putting them in a larger group, anything over 4 people. Because then there's too many people, too much going on to really be able to manage the conversation or the group. Your team will probably shut down when you're practicing these skills. It is challenging and hard, so don't give up. Give them some space, stop the teaching moment, let them relax a bit, take the pressure off, but then return to it later. Even if they have a hard time, it doesn't mean you give up and stop trying. It just means that in this moment in time, they're not ready to continue. Give them a break when they're calm, see if they can share what they didn't like about it. If they're nonverbal and they can hopefully at least answer yes or no questions, ask yes or no questions to figure out what they liked and didn't like, and then try teaching it in a different way at a later time. Remember, progress takes time. I love this visual about small steps. And if it's hard for you to see, the ladder on the left has lots of little small rungs, and the ladder on the right has like rungs spaced far apart. And you can see that is the little child, but the child on the left can get further up because they take small steps. They very small steps going towards building conversation skills. Where the person on the right-hand side with the red ladder, they can't even get to the first step. It's too far up. It's too far outside of their ability level to really be able to succeed. So you want to have very small steps so they can learn the skill and build upon those skills. You want to be consistent because that's going to get them to learn the skill. And every interaction you have is considered practice. So again, the more short interactions you can practice, the better. So you want to keep in mind some key takeaways. You want to support connection over perfection. Focus on what they did well in the conversation and praise just them being interested in listening and or talking to another person. Focus on that connection, being able to say, oh, this is this is good that you were interested in even sharing about what went on during school or listening to what I had to share about. That's going to go a really long way. Be really supportive and don't force them to get into things they don't want to do or like. Try to get them to do it for a little bit of time. Don't force long training sessions. And remember, you have the power. You can do a lot of modeling, a lot of support for your team without a lot of extra materials and a lot of extra. And with that being said, we have a good amount of time for some questions. Additionally, if you wanted me to model one of those easy games, Fiona, if you want to go back to the slide with the bingo card, if you wanted me to do, if we had some volunteers and wanted to do a quick demonstration of one of the games, I'll be more than happy to do that. Or you can just ask your questions, whatever you
Which
prefer.
one?
Keep going a little bit more. The one that had the bingo card on the right. Keep going, keep going. There you go. So if you wanted me to demonstrate what one of these would look like, all I would need would be a volunteer, and I can show you what it would look like. Or just ask me a question about whatever you like to ask me a question about related to social skills and maintaining conversations. The floor is yours. All right, good questions. Demonstration going once. Going twice. All right. I guess there's no questions today, Fiona. Do you want to talk about Move and Connect?
Okay. So, thank you, Dr. Albert, for giving us such an insightful speech
You're
and
welcome.
providing so many practical tools that our parents can use at home to support their kids. And I also want to mention one of our most popular programs, Move and Connect. Oh, okay, there is a parent who has a question. Rona?
Hi. Sorry, I joined a little bit late. I would like to see a demonstration of the conversation game you just showed on the slide.
Which one?
Which one do you think is the most interesting?
Oh,
I'm happy to volunteer to have a
love
practice
it.
with you.
I love High-Low Buffalo. That's my favorite because I always love to hear what the teens want to share. So, Rona, what was your high from today?
My high from today was that I bought a very pretty uh, blue flower for my front yard.
Oh, what? Someone asked a WH question. What flower did you buy?
I cannot exactly remember the name, but it looks like it looks like a jingle bell, and it's
Oh,
blue.
a blue jingle bell. Awesome. And why did you like that flower? So now I'm asking another WH question. So why do you like that flower?
Because blue is my favorite color.
Oh, awesome. I actually love blue as well. It's also my favorite color. So I took the high and I asked two W8 questions and I shared something about myself, all from just asking Rona what the high of her day was. That's how you do the high. And then I'd go, hey, Rona, what was the low of your day?
Um, I guess because one of the strawberry plant was eaten by a squirrel.
Oh, man. Oh, that's a bummer. So now I'm showing empathy. And I'm like, I love strawberries. That would make me sad if my strawberry plant was eaten by the squirrels. And now I just share something that I like. So that's how you can kind of use the low. Oh, and then I can ask the WH question. Rona, do you plan to replant? Oh, I guess it's not a WH question, but what do you plan to do? There we go. Now I'll make a WH question. What do you plan to do about that strawberry plant?
I guess I may need to build a net to protect it in the future.
Oh, that's a good idea. You know, I have some chicken wire. I can give it to you. So, okay, so again, it allows the person to expand on it. And we got all of that from her sharing that, the squirrels ate her strawberries. Well, I hope you can get rid of your squirrel problem because that's a bummer that they're getting into your strawberries. And then buffalo, you'd say, and what's a buffalo? Anything random you want to share with me today?
I'm just curious, like, because the conversation that you and I demonstrated is a pretty natural or a day-to-day conversation that happens between friends. Is there any specific games or like sentence starters or anything we can use visually that can support the kids who maybe have some challenge with the speech to have like that?
Yes, there was one put in the chat. I'm going to copy and paste it and put it at the end of the chat because you said you came late, so you probably don't see the earlier chats. But there's some visuals I just put in the chat box for you.
Okay, well, that's great. Thank you.
Disclaimer, I don't get paid if you buy them. I just happen to like them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? And thank you, Rona, for asking a question. Hope it was helpful.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, so she didn't really do a buffalo, but essentially a buffalo is just they just share whatever they want, and you do the same thing. You ask diverse questions, and you try to get engaged with what they share.
All right. Thank you, Rona, for asking a question and the demo, what the tool that Dr. Knapp introduced can be. So I'd like to give us a brief introduction about our program, which called Move and Connect, because this is our social group class that can greatly help the kids to build their focus, friendship, and confidence. So Move and Connect, the name Move and Connect comes from the movements that we incorporate in the group setting and also the connection, the social connections among the peers. We incorporate the movements that's powered by HFS, which is the Hope Focus system that is our core product of our company, and it's a brain training system that can greatly help to build the focus, attention, self-control, and communication. And then we ask the kids to do some teamwork activities together, such as building a house together or finishing a task together. And the kids will practice the real life social scenarios and do some role plays that what Dr. Albert just introduced to all of you. So our trainers are very experienced in helping kids with special needs. Then we have different classes setting for different age groups. For example, we have classes for 5 to 7 years old, and we also have classes for maybe 14 to 17 years old. So if you think your teens might be benefit from this program, you can reach out to us. This is our contact information, and you can also book a free consultation with us or schedule a trial for Move and Connect with us. So that's it. Do any of you have any questions about our services or programs? Okay.
I'm curious, are the, like, say the teen groups that you were mentioning, would that only be at Diamond Bar in Silicon Valley, or is that in Irvine as well?
Oh, it's mainly in Irvine. But we
Okay.
also have sessions in Silicon Valley very soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, do you live in Irvine?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you can definitely schedule a trial or free consultation with us. We would more than happy to explain more about this program, and you can also ask your child to join our session.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Yeah. Thank you for all the parents who are so engaged in our session today and for asking those insightful questions. And also, I would thank Dr. Knapp again for taking the time to introduce all of those practical tools for our parents, which are very, very useful. So please stay tuned to our newsletter and also our events. Otherwise, I hope to see you next time for our upcoming events, and also check our newsletter, our events on our website all the time. Thank you. Thank you for joining our session today. Have a great evening. Bye.